I didn't realize it had gone live. Hi guys, it's me. It's Miss Cheka. I got my little snackies here and I'm ready to do some more Esperanza Rising. Let me clean the camera a little bit. That's better. I was starting to look very foggy. Do you know that I read somewhere that in old-timey, like black and white movies, they would put Vaseline on the camera lenses to make the stars look very soft and very beautiful? I think that that's really cute, but it's also like very much the opposite of like now we want, if we're watching something on a screen, we want it to be like HD, super sharp. But I could have gone with the Vaseline camera. Anyway, Esperanza Rising. We're still at the very, very, very beginning, where Esperanza is like a happy kid who lives in a vineyard that her family owns, and her family has like all of these servants and workers who do the vineyard. It's her birthday, and it's 1930s, and it's Mexico. So let's start out. I forgot. When we left, the dad was missing. And the uncles had come over. Okay. Abuelita and Hortensia began lighting candles and saying prayers for the men's safe return. Mama, with her arms hugging her chest, swayed back and forth at the window, never taking her eyes from the darkness. They tried to pass the time with small talk, but their words dwindled into silence. Every sound of the house seemed magnified. The clock ticking, someone coughing, the clink of a teacup. Esperanza struggled with her stitches. She tried to think about the fiesta and all the presents she would receive tomorrow. She tried to think of the bouquets of roses and baskets of grapes on every table. She tried to think of Marisol and the other girls giggling and telling stories. But those thoughts would only stay in her mind for a moment before transforming into worry, because she couldn't ignore the throbbing soreness in her thumb, where the thorn had left its unlucky mark. It wasn't until the candelabra held nothing but short stubs of tallow that Mama finally said, "I see a lantern. Someone is coming." They hurried to the courtyard and watched a distant light, a small beacon of hope swaying in the darkness. A wagon came into view. Alfonso held the reins and Miguel the lantern. When the wagon stopped, Esperanza could see a body in the back, completely covered with a blanket. "Where's Papa?" she cried. Miguel hung his head. Alfonso didn't say a word, but the tears running down his round cheeks confirmed the worst. Mama fainted. Abuelita and Hortensia ran to her side. Esperanza felt her heart drop. A noise came from her mouth, and slowly her first breath of grief grew into a tormented cry. She fell to her knees and sank into a dark hole of despair and disbelief. This is so sad. I'd never read this book before, and I didn't realize that we had a death so early on. This is very sad. Okay, this chapter is called Las Papayas. And then it starts out with the lyrics of that song that we were talking about. I'm going to attempt to sing it. I'm not a good singer. Estas son las mañanitas que... Oh, wait. I've got my phone today. We don't have to suffer through Miss Cheka singing it. Let's see here. I keep it on my phone so that when there's a birthday in my friends and family, I can put it to the phone and play it for them. And the version that I have, you know what? The version that I have is perfect for us because this book takes place in the 1930s. And this song was recorded around there. It was by a singer named Pedro Infante. can hear it sounds like really old-fashioned.
En la fresca y perfumada mañanita de tu santo, recibe mi bien amada la dulzura de mi canto. Encontrarás en tu reja un fresco ramo de flores. Que mi
This is not the song yet. He's just saying some poetry now. Here's the song.
Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David a las muchachas bonitas se las cantamos aquí. Y el sereno de la esquina me quisiera hacer favor de apagar eternita mientras que pasa mi amor.
I'm going to show you a picture of him. If you have seen the movie Coco, you know how they had a real famous singer? He was based, he's like just somebody they made up for the movie, but he was based off of the guy who was singing this, who was a real big star in Mexico. See how Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco looks a lot like him? Well, this is Pedro Infante. Okay. So that's the beginning of the chapter. And the lyrics to the song are, these are the morning songs, estas son las mañanitas, which King David used to sing to all the pretty girls, a las muchachas bonitas. We sing them to you. Se las cantamos a ti. Esperanza heard Papa and the others singing. They were outside her window and their voices were clear and melodic. Before she was aware, she smiled because her first thought was that today was her birthday. I should get up and wave kisses to Papa. But when she opened her eyes, she realized she was in her parents' bed, on Papa's side that still smelled like him, and the song had been in her dreams. Why hadn't she slept in her own room? The events of last night wrenched her mind into reality. Her smile faded, her chest tightened, and a heavy blanket of anguish smothered her smallest joy. You know, in March, when we first started having the quarantine and the shutdown, I remember that's how I would wake up a lot of times in the morning is I would wake up and then before I opened my eyes, I would just be thinking about, you know, normal things, having a normal day, going to work, going to school, you know, hanging out with my friends. And then right before I would fully wake up, I would remember in this huge rush, like, oh, coronavirus. There's all of this stuff going on. There is no normal school and work. You know, I can't go see my friends. And it was just like every morning for weeks, that's how I would wake up is just, oh, normal. Oh, you know, oh yeah, this like terrible thing is happening. And now that it's so many months later, I don't wake up like that. Because I guess we've just gotten used to things, haven't we? So this is how Esperanza is feeling this. And in fact, like, so it's a really beautiful paragraph because it gives us that feeling that we have not waking up every day, but on some days where there's like this little moment right before you wake up, you know, where you have a memory and you can hold on to it for like just a little second. And then reality kind of invades. And in her case, the reality is this like horrible, horrible, tragic thing, which is her father has died. Papa and his vaqueros had been ambushed and killed while mending a fence on the farthest reaches of the ranch. The bandits stole their boots, saddles, and horses. They even took the beef jerky that Papa had hidden in his pockets for Esperanza. Esperanza got out of bed and wrapped un chal, like a shawl, around her shoulders. The shawl felt heavier than usual. Was it the yarn? Or was her heart weighing her down? She went downstairs and stood in la sala, that large entry hall. The house was empty and silent. Where was everyone? Then she remembered that Abuelita and Alfonso were taking Mama to see the priest this morning. Before she could call for Hortensia, there was a knocking at the front door. "Who is there?" called Esperanza through the door. "It is Señor Rodriguez. I have the papayas." Esperanza opened the door. Marisol's father stood before her, his hat in his hand. Beside him was a big box of papayas. "Your father ordered these for me for the fiesta today. I tried to deliver them to the kitchen, but no one answered." She stared at the man who had known Papa since he was a boy. Then she looked at the green papayas ripening to yellow. She knew why Papa had ordered them. Papaya, coconut, and lime salad was Esperanza's favorite, and Hortensia made it every year on her birthday. Her face crumbled. "Señor," she said, choking back tears, "have you not heard? My papa is dead." Señor Rodriguez stared blankly, then said, "¿Qué pasó, niña? What happened?" She took a quivery breath. As she told the story, she watched the grief twist Señor Rodriguez's face and overtake him as he sat down on the patio bench, shaking his head. She felt as if she were in someone else's body, watching a sad scene but unable to help. Hortensia walked out and put her arm around Esperanza. She nodded to Señor Rodriguez, then guided Esperanza back up the stairs to the bedroom. "He ordered the papayas," sobbed Esperanza. "I know," whispered Hortensia, sitting next to her on the bed and rocking her back and forth. "I know." The rosaries, masses, and funeral lasted 3 days. People whom Esperanza had never seen before came to the ranch to pay their respects. They brought enough food to feed 10 families every day, and so many flowers that the overwhelming fragrance gave them all headaches, and Hortensia finally put the bouquets outside. Marisol came with Señor and Señora Rodriguez several times. In front of the adults, Esperanza modeled Mama's refined manners, accepting Marisol's condolences. But as soon as they could, the two girls excused themselves and went to Esperanza's room, where they sat on her bed and held hands and wept as one. The house was full of visitors and their polite murmurings during the day. Mama was cordial and attentive to everyone, as if entertaining them gave her a purpose. At night, though, the house emptied. The room seemed too big without Papa's voice to fill them, and the echoes of their footsteps deepened their sadness. Abuelita sat by Mama's bed every night and stroked her head until she slept. Then she would come around to the other side and do the same for Esperanza. But soon after, Esperanza often woke to Mama's soft crying, or Mama woke to hers, and then they held each other without letting go until morning. Esperanza avoided opening her birthday gifts. Every time she looked at the packages, they reminded her of the happy fiesta she was supposed to have. One morning, Mama finally insisted, saying, "Papa would have wanted it." Abuelita handed Esperanza each gift, and Esperanza methodically opened them and laid them back on the table. A white purse for Sundays, with a rosary inside from Marisol, a rope of blue beads from China, the book, Don Quixote, from Abuelita, a beautiful embroidered dress or scarf from Mama for Sunday. Finally, she opened the box she knew was a doll. She couldn't help thinking that it was the last thing Papa would ever give her. Hands trembling, she lifted the lid and looked inside the box. The doll wore a fine white batiste dress and a white lace mantilla over her black hair. Her porcelain face looked wistfully at Esperanza with enormous eyes. "Oh, she looks like an angel," said Abuelita, taking her handkerchief from her sleeve and blotting her eyes. Mama said nothing but reached out and touched the doll's face. Esperanza couldn't talk. Her heart felt so big and hurt so much that it crowded out her voice. She hugged the doll to her chest and walked out of the room, leaving all the other gifts behind. Tío Luis and Tío Marco came every day and went into Papa's study to take care of the family business. Ooh, this is so sad. At first, they stayed only a few hours, but soon they became like La Calabaza, the squash plant in Alfonso's garden, whose giant leaves spread out, encroaching upon anything smaller. The uncles eventually stayed each day until dark, taking all of their meals at the ranch as well. Esperanza could tell that Mama was uneasy with their constant presence. Finally, the lawyer came to settle the estate. Mama, Esperanza, and Abuelita sat properly in their black dresses as the uncles walked into the study. A little too loudly, Tío Luis said, Ramona, grieving does not suit you. I hope you will not wear black all year. Mama did not answer, but maintained her composure. That's so rude, y'all. That's so rude. She's just lost her husband and she's wearing black. That's so rude. They nodded to Abuelita, but as usual, said nothing to Esperanza. The talk began about bank loans and investments. It all seemed so complicated to Esperanza that her mind wandered. She had not been in this room since Papa died. She looked around at Papa's desk and books, Mama's basket of crocheting with the silver crochet hooks that Papa had brought her in Guadalajara, the table near the door that held Papa's rose clippers, and beyond the double doors, his garden. Her uncle's papers were strewn across the desk. Papa never kept his desk that way. Tío Luis sat in Papa's chair as if it were his own. And then Esperanza noticed the belt buckle. Papa's belt buckle on Tío Luis's belt. It was wrong. Everything was wrong. Tío Luis should not be sitting in Papa's chairs. He should not be wearing Papa's belt buckle with the brand of the ranch on it. For the 1,000th time, she wiped the tears that slipped down her face, but this time they were angry tears. A look of indignation passed between Mama and Abuelita. Were they feeling the same? Ramona, said the lawyer, your husband, Sixto Ortega, left this house and all of its contents to you and your daughter. You will also receive the yearly income from the grapes. As you know, it is not customary to leave land to women, and since Luis was the banker on the loan, Sixto left the land to him. Which makes things rather awkward, said Tío Luis. I am the bank president and would like to live accordingly. Now that I own this beautiful land, I would like to purchase the house from you for this amount. He handed Mama a piece of paper. Mama looked at it and said, This is our home. My husband meant for us to live here. And the house, it is worth 20 times this much. So no, I will not sell. Besides, where will we live? I predicted you would say no, Ramona, said Tío Luis. And I have a solution to your living arrangements. A proposal, actually. One of marriage. Who's he talking about? Thought Esperanza. Who would marry him? He cleared his throat. Of course, we would wait the appropriate amount of time out of respect for my brother. 1 year is customary, is it not? Even you can see that with your beauty and reputation and my position at the bank, we could be a very powerful couple. Did you know that I, too, have been thinking of entering politics? I am going to campaign for governor. And what woman would not want to be a governor's wife? Esperanza could not believe what she heard. Mama marry Tío Luis? Marry a goat? She looked wide-eyed at him and then at Mama. Mama's face looked as if it were in terrible pain. She stood up and spoke slowly and deliberately. I have no desire to marry you, Luis, now or ever. Frankly, your offer offends me. Tío Luis's face hardened like a rock and the muscles twitched in his narrow neck. You will regret your decision, Ramona. You must keep in mind that this house and those grapes are on my property. I can make things difficult for you, very difficult. I will let you sleep on the decision, for it is more than generous. Tío Luis and Tío Marco put on their hats and left. The lawyer looked uncomfortable and began gathering documents. Vultures, said Abuelita. Can he do this? Asked Mama. Yes, said the lawyer. Technically, he is now your landlord. But he could build another house, bigger and more pretentious, anywhere on the property. It is not the house he wants, said Abuelita. It is your influence he wants. People in this territory loved Sixto and respect you. With you as his wife, Luis could win any election. Mama stiffened. She looked at the lawyer and said, please officially relay this message to Luis. I will never, ever change my mind. I will do that, Ramona, said the lawyer, but be careful. He is a devious, dangerous man. The lawyer left and Mama collapsed into a chair, put her head in her hands, and began to cry. Esperanza ran to her. Don't cry, Mama. Everything will be all right. But she didn't sound convincing even to herself, because all she could think about was what Tio Luis had said, that Mama would regret her decision. This is rough. I just don't know. I totally agree with the mom. I would not marry that guy. And he's terrible. He's threatening them. He's like proposing marriage when his brother has just died. On the other hand, he does seem like someone who could like really go through with his threats. So I just don't know what's going to happen. But I see here in the chat box that there is Tess, who is late because of school. So we're a little bit out of time, but I do want to know, Tess, how was your first day of school? So tell me there in the side there. Did it go great? Go terrible? I don't have first day of school for a while. Yeah, I wonder how first day of school goes when it's online. I have to think of something fun for my students to do. Yo, this book is really good, but it's dead sad. Let's see here. I'm gonna poke here at the beginning. Okay, I did not read this page yet, but before the book starts, there's a dedication page, and it says, to the memory of Esperanza Ortega Muñoz Hernández Elgart, mi abuelita, which means I think that this is like a fiction version of the author's real grandma. So that's kind of beautiful, but it also explains why it's like sad and real, because, she's talking about real events. All right, Tess, so how did it go? Was it good? Was it bad? All right, we're a little bit out of time. So Tess, you're gonna have to text me, because I do want to know. Good, bad, terrible, medium, fun. Anyway. All right. In the meanwhile, eat your fruits and vegetables, guys, because we need nutrients and energy. And I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll see what Tio Luis does. Bye, guys.